Hello and welcome to week 9 in research methods, and we are moving on to chapter 11 and chapter 12, which sort of umbrella covers experiments. So a lot of what we've been talking about in terms of relationships between variables have been based on correlations, that the measurable aspects of variables are related to each other. A lot of research is done on that, and we spent some time talking about correlations earlier in the class. And we're looking at going beyond that and the actual methods by which we demonstrate cause and effect. Now, the one thing I'd like to get right up front is the basic model of an experiment is that we control as many factors as possible of a particular situation, and we manipulate what we would call the causal agent or the independent variable. That's the one that we change between different groups of people. Measure the differences between those groups after we've manipulated the independent variable, and any difference between them on the measured dependent variable we can attribute to a causal factor in the independent variable. Hope that was good. And that whole thing. Now, usually we call that an A-B design. So we take a measure before, we do the intervention B. Now, in real classic experimental method, we do it again. We say, let's say we're, classic applications of experimental method might include using reinforcers. The actual implementation of a behavior plan is an experiment. So I got little Billy is not doing his homework. So I'm going to try and manipulate Billy's desire to do homework by having him earn PlayStation time every time he hands in his homework. So I start off with a baseline measure. That's my A category, my experimental design. With no reinforcer, let's say he gets it in 10% of the time. Then I go into my experimental place, and nothing else has changed. I'm giving him access to PlayStation every time he submits his spelling work, and lo and behold, he's getting it in 50% of the time. Now, there may be factors unknown to the experimenter that actually produce that 40% increase aside from the reinforcer, just something that happened during that same period of time. Maybe there were less assignments. Maybe the sun was out more. Maybe the sun wasn't out more. There might be all kinds of reasons why Billy chose to do his work more at that point. Or maybe he's trying to impress somebody by getting his work in, whatever. Or maybe he was trying to impress somebody before and that person's gone, so now they're doing their homework. There's all kinds of reasons other than the one I think, which he's trying, I'm using a reinforcer to get his behavior to change. So ideally, you would do it again. You would remove the reinforcer, and if in fact my reinforcer is truly my independent variable, which is the reinforcer, that's the part that I'm giving and taking away. That's what I mean by manipulating. When I take it away, that behavior should go back down. The reinforcer is gone. According to the law of effect, the reinforcer is gone, therefore the behavior should go down. If it goes down, and then I do it again, so you get an A, no reinforcer, B, reinforcer, that's the first cycle. Do it again, A, no reinforcer, B, reinforcer. If I get that same increase again, or I see an increase again, that's a lot of evidence to support that the reinforcer is actually the variable bringing about the change in behavior, the causal relationship. There wasn't something else. It would have to be very perfectly timed. That something else would have to be very perfectly timed. Not that it couldn't happen, but that's that experimental design. So sometimes you'll read in the literature an A-B design or an A-B, A-B, A-B kind of design, maybe A, B, C. There's all kinds, they just, we like using the alphabet. There's all kinds of different ways, permutations of that experimental design. Those are our experiments. We're holding everything else constant except for the independent variable and measuring its effect on the dependent variable. So in our first discussion, I'm asking you, what is the purpose of the independent variable? Why do we need that? Why is that? That's the whole magic, is the independent variable. Tell me why we need an independent variable. I just talked about it. So in quiz 11, in the chapter 11 quiz, I asked you to look at the classic experiments, and I want you to describe to me the experimental design. What are the hypotheses? What's the independent variable, dependent variable? It's kind of in the course book there. I'm asking, pick one of them and describe that. Then I'm going to hold you to this one. I almost canceled it, but I think it's a good one. Even though you're right in the middle of getting your research projects ready, I want you to go into the site toolkit area. You have a couple weeks to get this done. I want you to learn how to use that software, how to use that website. I want you to pick an existing experiment, load it into your own site toolkit, and have 10 people complete that and download the data. That's it. This is practice for recruiting subjects for your assignment. Of course, you're going to need more than 10, but kind of practice. Get those people in your social circle. Now, you're learning Site Toolkit. You're taking one of the existing experiments and you transfer it over or something. You copy it. You copy all that Site Toolkit stuff over to your own, and you can conduct the study yourself with just 10 people. Just to kind of get that feeling for communicating with people about an experiment that's all pre-designed for you. So I want you to do that. We then go into chapter 12 that talks about quasi-experimental design. Now, the difference between experimental design and quasi-experimental design is just one factor, and that is the degree to which our assignment of the independent variable is random or not. There are many, many, many independent variables, many causal factors that we cannot directly manipulate. You can't randomly put people in there. Like let's say we're talking about depression, and we want to see individuals that have terminal cancer versus people who don't have terminal cancer. We can't randomly assign people to those groups and give people cancer and make sure. No. We have to take the people that have cancer and compare them to the people that don't have cancer. So variables such as that, variables such as gender, race, income, class, the major they're in, the classroom that they're in, all of these factors where we're looking at differences between groups of people, the independent variable is not manipulatable. It's different between two different sets of people, and we're measuring if that's an effect on the dependent variable, but we can't randomly assign to the groups. Random assignment to the groups is necessary for pure experiments. Quasi-experiments allow you to use existing structures within our society. So every time we're looking at something that has to do with gender, we're actually looking at quasi-experimental. Almost every time we use convenient sampling, we're actually looking at quasi-experimental in a kind of a technical way, because we're just picking people that are close to us, so therefore we can't randomly assign them. The next step, but still there's great limitations in terms of, the pure approach to random assignment of the independent variable. In medicine studies, there's very strict adherence to random assignment to who gets the medicine and who gets the placebo. They keep to that purist kind of sense a lot of everything else that goes on in psychology is actually very much based on quasi-experimental design. Now, in the discussion, I want you to, I bring out in the class this idea that a lot of knowledge that we have in psychology is based on quasi-experimental design. Colleges that have been using college freshmen to explore ideas for generations, and could that be has that led to a systemic error within the field of psychology because we have not been able to necessarily random? Now, there's times we can't random, like in the cancer example. So we have to go with what we've got. But if we are constantly depending on demonstrating causal factors by using non-random quasi-experimental design, we're introducing error. And that error can accumulate over time. And there's certainly, as we become better at methodology, the field of psychology is in sort of it's not a crisis per se, but sort of a review of itself, looking at some of the classic studies that are out there, some of the real core knowledge about what we understand about people. And in today's world with better methodologies, it's not panning out quite as clear. The modern results are a little bit more murky. We're still seeing patterns for these things. We're still seeing a lot of the theories carrying through, but things are a lot more murky. So there's the methodology reason for that, but then of course, more modern age, higher level of education, better nutrition, all kinds of reasons why people are different now than they were when we initially did those studies. So it's a little bit of a historical look at that's where all of our information has come from. Maybe we've set ourselves up for some error being replicated over the years. And finally, I'm in the quiz, I'm asking you to, this is for Chapter 12, the quiz for Chapter 12, I'm asking you to compare and contrast a true independent variable with a quasi-independent variable. I just talked about it. So put that in your own words, do some research on that, and that should get you through that chapter. So Chapter 11, we have the discussion, the quiz, and the assignment. That's a big one. The assignments, that'll be a time-consuming one. And then in Chapter 12, we have the discussion and the quiz. So enjoy that. Please, as much as we're still within shot of being on time with all of our experiments, we're 9 of 12. So I'm hoping many of you can get through the rest of your assignments and get ready to publish your data gathering. It's looking good if we can get those things done really quickly. As I'm looking about how this class has progressed, we might have to add another week at the end. We'll see. Just so you can get at least a week or so of good, solid data gathering. There's going to be a period of time where you're sending out your survey and you're just waiting for people to sign up and give you that data. The analysis is going to be really quick, and the final paper is going to be really quick because you've been writing it all along. You're just going to be doing your conclusions, your data and your conclusions. So I think it's going to end suddenly, but we have to get through those assignments, get people to start accessing their data so that we can end somewhere close to when we were supposed to end. So please get on those. I have responded, as far as I know right now, I have no assignments waiting for me to grade. I will be checking that every day and make sure I'm getting that feedback to you, get you into the position to be starting to collect data. So that's it for this week. Look forward to your discussions, look forward to your assignments, and I will see you next time. Take care.